Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can get a free honeysuckle white turkey when you spend $100 or more in a single transaction through November 27th. Clip the offer in the Safeway app and make your holiday feast delicious.
While SNAP benefits are getting back on track, you may still have trouble putting food on the table. That's where a group called Lasagna Love has stepped in. It's a network of neighbors cooking and delivering homemade lasagnas to anyone who needs them. They say that after the government shutdown, demand exploded. What used to be around 2,500 weekly requests has now quadrupled. The nonprofit is calling for more volunteers in order to keep up. If you're interested, we've got a link to help or to sign up to get a lasagna in the link in our show notes. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel.
And I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, Christian schools in Colorado challenge the state's laws that bar them from tax money.
The Alliance had asked him to see if he could find a way to start a test case in Colorado on the question of public funding for religious education.
Then, how'd you like to save $800 on a new stove? You'll hear how you can make energy-saving changes in your home pretty cheaply.
It's designed to help owners shift away from fossil fuels to a grid powered more and more by climate-friendly renewables like wind and solar.
Plus, it's good for a meal or some shopping, and now you can hear the people behind Denver's Little Saigon share its history.
When she started interviewing me, and I start to cry because everything is deep inside my heart.
It's Monday, November 17th. Here's the news in Colorado today.
Colorado is at the center of two separate efforts to allow for public money to be used at religious schools. First, an elementary school that opened this semester in Pueblo. It's called Riverstone Academy. New emails uncovered by the website Chalkbeat show the school's founders may have specifically wanted to use it as a test case to challenge state law barring public money from religious schools. Chalkbeat's Ann Shimke joins us now. And when you go to Riverstone Academy's website, it says it's a school with a, quote, Christian foundation. Was its religious affiliation apparent when it got approvals to open as a public school?
It was certainly not obvious from the paperwork that was submitted to the state and to different school districts.
I mean, did they not mention the word Christian at all in their application materials?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things that public schools have to do when they open is send a school code application to the Colorado Department of Education. And Riverstone did that. They did not mention anything about being religious or having Christian curriculum. Pueblo District 70 also had to approve an agreement to let Riverstone open in their district because it is located in Pueblo County. In that agreement, there was no mention of religious education, religious curriculum at all. So it was very much hidden in the startup process. There was an application that the school submitted to a public education cooperative based in Monument that actually authorized the school. There was very little mention of religion in that application. It did mention two curriculums. Neither had the word religious or Christian in them. However, they are kind of Christian homeschool curriculum. So for anyone who might look that up, they would know that there was some kind of Christian affiliation. But again, the public education cooperative, which authorized the school, they are not the typical public school board. They often don't have the public at their meetings. Their board members are not elected. And just generally, they conduct business in a a less public way than a typical school board.
Can you remind us, Anne, what are the rules in Colorado about religious schools and public funding?
Yeah, so the Colorado Constitution does not allow public funding for religious schools, and that's also in state law as well.
Again, Anne, your reporting has found that people behind Riverstone may have founded it in part with the intention of challenging Colorado's law. Why would that be a goal of theirs?
Basically, my reporting found that a lawyer involved with starting the school had been approached by Alliance Defending Freedom, which is a Christian law firm based in Arizona. And the Alliance had asked him to see if he could find a way to start a test case in Colorado on the question of public funding for religious education. The lawyer, Brad Miller, said this question from the Alliance Defending Freedom came after the Supreme Court deadlocked in a 4-4 tie on a very similar case out of Oklahoma about whether a Catholic charter school could open there. Because of that tie, the school could not open. And this question of public funding for religious education never got answered. And so Alliance Defending Freedom wanted to find another case that would fit the bill.
There are states that do allow vouchers to be used at religious schools, but Colorado's not one of them. Is that right? That's just clear in our Constitution and state law?
Yeah, that's exactly right. There has been a major lawsuit in the past in Douglas County over vouchers, and that effort was defeated. So no, we do not have vouchers in Colorado.
So for Riverstone Academy in Pueblo, where do things stand now?
So Riverstone is open and operating right now. The state is scheduled to decide whether to give Riverstone state money either in December or January. It's possible the state will deny funding to Riverstone because of its religious nature. If that happens, Riverstone could sue, and that would essentially start the test case that Alliance Defending Freedom was looking for.
Anne Shimke is from the news website Chalkbeat. Thanks for your reporting, Anne.
Thank you for having me.
And again, we mentioned there's another effort now in Colorado to open up public education money for religious schools. That effort centers around the state's universal preschool program. Dozens of religious preschools do participate and get public money, but a group of Catholic pre-Ks, parents, and the Archdiocese want the state to allow them to get public funding and also still retain their right to not hire LGBTQ staff or admit LGBTQ families. So far, the courts in Colorado have ruled against them. On Friday, they announced they will appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. You might be able to get some help to make your home more climate-friendly. Colorado has just launched a new rebate program to help residents replace gas appliances with cleaner electric options. CPR's Sam Brash is here to tell us more. Sam, what will these rebates cover?
Yeah, so the state's offering discounts worth up to $14,000 to offset the cost of everything from heat pumps to heat pump water heaters to just like packing your house with insulation to make it more energy efficient or a new electric stove. This is the result of a long-awaited program first approved by former President Joe Biden under the Inflation Reduction Act. That's the landmark climate law he signed in 2022. And it's designed to help owners shift away from fossil fuels to a grid powered more and more by climate-friendly renewables like wind and solar.
Can you tell us a bit more about the discounts? What are some examples of how we could save money?
You bet. So households can get $8,000 for a heat pump. That's an all-electric system that can both heat and cool your home. It's kind of a reversible air conditioner. That should cover about half the total cost of an average heat pump system. You could also get like $840 for a new electric stove. And just like looking at the Home Depot website, that can almost cover the full cost of a new induction stove in some cases.
Nice. So who qualifies for the rebates? Can anyone get them?
Not everyone, but most people in Colorado should be able to get something. So to qualify for the maximum rebate amounts, your household has to earn less than 80% of your county's area median income. In practical terms, that just means like a family of 4 in Denver needs to earn less than $104,000 a year to get the maximum discount. If your family earns a little more than that, you can get a lesser rebate. Renters can also apply with permission from their landlord. So essentially, this is an incentive program for less wealthy residents to invest in energy upgrades.
How do people sign up?
So first step is to just go to the Colorado Energy Office website. There's an application there to prove your income eligibility. It went live last Thursday. After that, if your application is approved, you can use that same state website to find a verified contractor that's been approved to participate in the rebate program. Now, keep in mind, the state has only approved a handful of contractors, so don't expect immediate assistance. But a spokesperson for the Energy Office told me the sooner people apply, they're more likely to be quickly connected to these contractors as they come into the system.
And speaking of applying soon, is there a cap on the number of rebates that will be given out?
There is a fixed amount of funding here. The state has set aside $46 million to fund these rebates. The program will last through 2029 or when the state runs out of federal funding, whichever comes first. So it's probably a good idea to apply sooner rather than later in case this program is really popular.
As you know, Sam, the Trump administration has clawed back funding for all kinds of climate initiatives approved by President Biden. How has this particular program survived that?
It's a really good question, and it looks like the answer is that Colorado pulled a pretty clever move here. So last year, I covered the state when it launched a pilot version of this program. It took a small portion of these federal dollars, and it put it into an existing program that insulates really low-income homes. And I was like, that's really weird. That's not what this program is supposed to do. I wonder why they're doing this. Basically, the answer is that allowed the Biden administration to approve the program, and it meant that, unlike most other states, we're not waiting for the Trump administration to sign off on our plan. So basically, Colorado already has federal permission, and it's moving ahead.
All right. Sam Brash, thank you.
Thank you.
You can find more information about these new energy rebates for your home in the show notes.
You might have passed the arch that says Far East Center in West Denver. You might have not known that it's actually a piece of Colorado history. Ivy Ha ran the modern boutique hair salon on Federal Boulevard for nearly 4 decades.
I think I opened it once, 1983 or 84, around that. And then the first year it's tough. First year is pretty much no customer at all.
Ha came to Colorado in 1979 when she was just 17 years old. She's one of roughly 10,000 Vietnamese refugees that settled in Denver after the war, and she helped establish what is known as Little Saigon. The newly arrived Asian immigrant community transformed this district of the city, and it's now being celebrated at History Colorado Center through next October. CPR's Sandy Batulga spent time with the people who helped make this exhibit come to life. Sandy, first, can you tell us a bit more about Little Saigon itself? What is it?
Yeah, so it's a stretch of Federal Boulevard in West Denver. When Vietnamese refugees first started arriving here in the late 1970s and early 80s, they opened all kinds of businesses like markets, restaurants, nightclubs, hair salons, clothing stores, stuff like that. Some of those businesses became known as the Far East Center. It's probably the most well-known part of Little Saigon, and History Colorado designated it as an official state historic landmark last year. That's what led to the Little Saigon Memory Project, which informed the exhibit that's now at the History Colorado Center.
And this exhibit, what could someone expect to see there?
You can see photos and newspaper clippings from the 80s and 90s and listen to oral histories. Yadira Solis is the director of the Museum of Memory at History Colorado, and she helped Little Saigon community members gather these stories from their family members and friends. She says a big part of her job is documenting collective remembering, especially for marginalized communities.
What are the stories of entrepreneurs, of immigrants, of refugees? What are the stories of resilience and joy? The stories of multiple generations. So initial immigrant refugees to first generation and second generation, and then ongoing, and how their legacy is continuing.
So they're preserving the history of the neighborhood.
Oh.
There's actually a kiosk at the exhibit where you can scroll through interview clips from dozens of these oral histories that were collected by Jaden Wynn and others.
Really, I think the point of all this is like, yeah, we're still here, we're still building up our community. So it's not like these people are, like the difference between this versus like other exhibits is like, these aren't dinosaurs, you know? Like that to me is what's most exciting. It's like it's alive.
You can also see toys and pieces of clothing collected from the people who participated. The exhibit covers an entire wall on the 4th floor mezzanine of the museum, and it's included with general admission.
Sandy, you have a personal connection to this story. Can you tell me about that? Why does this project feel important to you?
Well, I was born and raised in Denver. My family is from Mongolia, not Southeast Asia, but we still frequented Little Saigon as a place to at least see other Asian people. We shopped at the businesses in the Far East Center and obviously ate at all of the amazing restaurants that are in the area. It's still a family tradition to get pho whenever we all get to see each other. Speaking with the people who contributed stories to this exhibit reminded me of my own family's struggles and triumphs in the U.S. It took a while for my mom to open up to me about what her life was like when she first got here. Ha said something in our interview that I think my mom has said word for word. She was talking about the experience of her daughter asking her about her life story.
A lot of people have better story than I. Why my story important to know much? I just want to record and see, because for me, and then when she start interview me, and I start to cry because I don't know this story. Everything is deep inside my heart.
CPR's Sandy Patulga. Thank you so much, Sandy.
You're welcome, Arlo.
Thank you for listening to our show. I hope your week gets off to a great start. You can expect the weather to cool down, and maybe we'll even see some snow. Remember to follow the show in your podcast app. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel.
And I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can get a free honeysuckle white turkey when you spend $100 or more in a single transaction through November 27th. Clip the offer in the Safeway app and make your holiday feast delicious.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.